and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to another video. In today's vlog, I'm going to be doing a quarterly reset because we are now approaching the end of March and the end of the first quarter of this year, which is crazy to say. I feel like I say this every time, but genuinely, how is time going by so fast? I don't want to think about it too much because it's going to send me down a spiral. If you watched my New Year reset video for 2026, then you might know that this year I'm doing quarterly check-ins and pretty much setting new goals and intentions every 3 months. And then in the second half of this video, I really just want to focus on, frankly, getting my life together. I feel like this month, the month of March, has just been all over the place for me. So that is definitely something I want to focus on over the next few days and this week, is just to get back into a routine, get back into healthy habits, get enough sleep, and do a little bit of self-care as well. I want to do it like a mini glow up in this video and do a few things to make me feel more put together. And hopefully as I try to get my life together, you can feel inspired to do the same. It's already 10 a.m. It is also Monday, so I do have a class this afternoon that I'm gonna have to get ready for. But I really want to start off this video and this week with my journal in hand and just go over how January through March has been, and also set some new resolutions for April through July, the next quarter, pretty much. I don't know why, I guess in that moment I decided the month of May does not exist, but anyways, moving on. I've been journaling for the past little while and I'm taking a bit of a break because honestly my hand is starting to cramp up, but I feel like this is also a good place for me to pause because I've just reflected on the first start of the year and I'm now going to move into setting some new goals and resolutions and kind of answering some prompts for the next quarter. By the way, this is probably going to be a fairly chatty segment of this video, so if you want to just skip over to the vlog portion, I can just put a timestamp on the screen or down below for you to do that, or else you're welcome to just treat this as a podcast. My very first goal of 2026 and the thing I most wanted to prioritize was to journal consistently, and I kind of talked about this again in my New Year reset video, but the reason for that is because I feel like journaling is such like an anchor habit, if that makes sense, where if I have that habit down and I'm doing it consistently, then it becomes easier for me to become consistent at my other habits, because this is really a tool for me to check in with myself. And I am happy to say that I have achieved this goal. If you just look at the progress in my journal, I feel like this is so satisfying for me. And obviously if you're an avid journaler, maybe this isn't that impressive, but given the fact that last year I barely finished a journal, the fact that I'm already almost done with this one and it's March is, for me, a big deal. Going forward, I honestly don't even feel the need to keep this as a goal on my list because it's almost become like second nature, or it's just not something I have to make a conscious effort to do anymore, which is really nice. So happy to check that off. Goal number 2 was to create and upload short form content and to try to find a way to incorporate that into my overall content workflow. And again, I feel like I've made a good amount of progress towards this. I'm definitely not where I want to be, but because I had this on my list of goals for this first quarter, I feel like I was making a conscious effort to film more videos on my phone, like vertical videos throughout my week. I will say, I do feel like my relationship with content creating as a whole has been a little rocky this past month, just because I've been so busy and I put a lot of pressure on myself and I have really high expectations. For that reason, and because I've already been kind of struggling to keep up with consistent uploads here on YouTube, I do feel like I'm not exactly where I want to be when it comes to short form, but I feel like I definitely have gone past that first barrier of being intimidated to hit post. Last but not least, my third goal on this list was to read 2 personal finance books. And I did not achieve this one. My intention when I wrote this down was that it would help me with my overall goal of just becoming more financially literate. I love to read, so I figured this would be a great gateway into financial literacy. However, I will say I have just not had much time to read, or not as much time as I would have liked this first quarter. So I feel like when I do have time to read, it's easier for me to pick up fiction as opposed to self-help or finance books. But I just don't think this goal has necessarily been at the top of my mind this first quarter, which is why I'm gonna leave it there and I'm gonna continue working hopefully towards it for this next quarter. I'm gonna take a bit of time and come up with some journal prompts that I can answer for the next quarter. Let's get to it. I will make the journal prompts available for you guys, of course, if you want to use them for your own journaling or reflecting. I like to do a mix of what went well versus what I can improve and what I want to focus on. So for example, I wrote some like ins and outs, things I want to leave behind and let go of versus areas of my life that I want to focus on going forward. And then I also love to include some kind of journal prompt about what I'm looking forward to. I feel like this is always great, especially when I'm going through a bit of a tough time where I'm in a rut and it feels like I'm just living the same day over and over. Once again, I set 3 goals for myself for this next quarter, and the first one, as I talked about earlier, is just going to be to continue my goal of reading 2 personal finance books because I didn't really achieve that. However, I'm also adding to that I want to set aside some money for my savings. I already do this in my savings account, but I just want to get into the habit of like almost automatically transferring that money into my TFSA and my first home savings account because I otherwise will just forget about it, and I feel like it's better to set that up on a rolling basis just so I have like a reminder in my calendar for me to do that. Moving on now to my second goal, which is to develop a healthy and sustainable content workflow, and I feel like I'm kind of adapting this from my previous goal of focusing on short form content, but I'm expanding it more broadly to just include my content workflow overall, everything from idea, brainstorming to filming, editing, and eventually posting. I was recently talking about this with another friend of mine who's also into content creation, and we were just talking about the fact that posting consistently kind of means you're always working towards something and you never really feel like a project is done, or you never really get a sense of closure. Because I've been trying to post weekly on YouTube, I feel like I leave editing off until the last minute because during my week I'm just focusing on filming. So I feel like for me that was just like not really sustainable, and I took a bit of a step back. I like took a few days off of filming and off of content as a whole, and I think that's really something I want to focus on for this next quarter, especially because I'm going to be done with school mid-April. It's something I want to be a little bit more mindful of. And last but not least, my third and final goal for this upcoming spring quarter is to intentionally take time off and try hobbies outside of screen time. I feel like a big quote-unquote hobby of mine is making these videos and putting a lot of time into documenting my day and, you know, editing my vlogs, but because that's also a way for me to make income and kind of become my job, it's hard for me to really treat that as a hobby. And also because making videos is also kind of a never-ending project of constantly producing something and having to create an output. It's hard for that to really feel like rest ever, and it's hard for me to take time off from it as well. Oftentimes at the end of my day, I'll be like, oh, let me just put on a show and I can edit at the same time. But then all I'm doing is just having like multiple screens going on with a lot of information. And don't get me wrong, I'm a very ambitious person. I like having projects and things that I'm working towards. But when that project is yourself, it's kind of hard to just be content. And I feel like I'm always trying to self-optimize. I have a few ideas of hobbies and things I want to get into, but one of them is to get back into learning Spanish. I learned Spanish in high school, and then I've been trying to maintain that language a little bit here and there, but it's been a while since I've actually taken some language classes, and that's why I'm so happy that this video is sponsored by Lingoda. I actually have my first class to book later this week, so I'm going to cut to future Clarice, who can tell you a little bit more about them. I am honestly so excited to be working with Lingoda on this video because I truly think if you've been looking for a hobby outside of your phone and been thinking about learning a new language for a while, they are such a great option. Lingoda is an online language school that offers live interactive lessons, which is truly the best way to learn. Their teachers are also certified native level teachers, and the classes are held in small groups of maximum 5 students, making it really great for personal feedback. I really like how with Lingoda there are classes available 24/7, so no matter your time zone or what your schedule looks like, you can commit to learning a language. Whether you're a student like me or working a 9 to 5 or even traveling, there is an option for everyone. Lingoda offers classes in English, business English, Spanish, French, German, and Italian, and they also have this really cool sprint challenge that's coming up. The Lingoda Sprint and Super Sprint challenges are designed to boost your motivation and really hold you accountable in your language learning goal. When you're committing to the Sprint challenge, that means you're committing to 15 classes per month for 2 months, and if you want to go a step further, their Super Sprint challenge is 30 classes per month for 2 months as well. And what is even better is that those who join the Sprint challenge can receive up to 100% cash back or the equivalent in credits when successfully completing the challenge. You can even get an additional 20 euros off if you sign up with my code Clarice or use the link in my description. All this to say, Lingoda is really there to support you on your language learning journey, and if there's one thing I realized this past year, it's the importance of having structured goals and keeping track of your progress. So the Sprint challenge is quite literally the perfect opportunity for that if you've been meaning to learn a new language. Make sure that you sign up sooner rather than later because the closing window for the Sprint challenge closes on April 7th, so you don't want to miss out. A huge thank you again to Lingoda for partnering with me on this video. I'm very excited to book more classes in the weeks to come, and I think it's a great opportunity for me to give myself an objective and kind of have a hobby outside of school and making videos. To recap, my 3 resolutions for this coming quarter are to read 2 personal finance books and set aside some savings, to develop a healthy and sustainable content workflow, and to intentionally take time off and try hobbies outside of screen time. I know this segment has been very chatty, but I hope you've enjoyed as I have kind of brought you along with me for this little reflecting session and journaling session. I have to leave in a little bit because I have to head out for my class this afternoon, but I'm gonna get going and I will see you guys once I'm there. Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday and I'm gonna make myself a matcha real quick, but then I have to head out because I booked a Pilates class at 10:30. I'm not gonna lie, if I could, I would probably have canceled it because I woke up this morning feeling like I didn't sleep at all. But nonetheless, we are gonna go. I think it'll be nice because I also want to get back into working out and moving my body. I worked out a bit last week. I think I went on a run Friday and that was my first run in a while and it was a challenge, I will tell you that. I think for me the easiest thing has just been booking Pilates classes. I find it fun and easy. Like obviously the workout itself is not easy, but getting myself to go work out doesn't feel like that much of an effort, and weirdly enough it kind of helps me structure my day and my routine a bit more. For example, today I have that workout class from 10:30 to 11:15 and then I take about 15 minutes to get ready, and afterwards I have an hour-ish, like an hour and a half before my afternoon class, so I like to just use that time to catch up on work, and specifically today I'm hoping to catch up on editing. I didn't really film much yesterday, I just went to my class in the afternoon, and you really didn't miss out because in the evening I just organize my files for my taxes and send them to my accountant. Thrilling stuff, I know, but it had to be done. And honestly, I'm glad I can check that off of my list. I'm making an Earl Grey matcha this morning. which hopefully will wake me up even more because of the caffeine from the Earl Grey, because I really need all the energy I can get. Matcha is done. I'm gonna get dressed and I will see you at Pilates. Good evening, everyone. It's currently 7:30. I got back from school and immediately took a nap. I was just so tired from my day, and then I just had dinner. I was debating whether or not I should do some work, but I think my body is signaling to me that it needs to rest and recuperate from the lack of sleep that I've been accumulating from the past week or so. So I am gonna have an early night, and anyways, I already planned for tomorrow to be kind of a self-care day, but then I also want to go to a coffee shop and catch up on work and editing and all those kinds of things. So I think it's alright for me to give myself the night off. That is, after all, one of my goals for this quarter, to schedule some time off where I don't have to think or worry about work. And I think that starts with your evening routine. So I'm gonna have a shower. I have been meaning to wash my hair for I think 3 days now that it's been overdue, and then I figured it might also be nice to take a bath. I have not taken a bath in a while. I have to be in the mood, and for some reason I think I'm in the mood tonight. Good morning, everyone. It is is Wednesday, and as you can tell, I just got ready for the day. I decided to curl my hair since I just washed it and I had the time to. I actually have my Spanish lesson in a half hour, so I'm very excited for that. But before then, I think I'm just gonna use the spare time I have to tidy up a little bit. Normally, I feel like in a reset video, I would do a big deep clean, but number one, I don't really have the energy for that right now. And number two, I think I'm gonna do a bigger, more in-depth spring cleaning when it feels a little bit warmer outside, and that way I can also at the same time swap out all of my winter clothes for my summer clothing. Knowing I'm gonna do a very big in-depth spring cleaning in a few weeks, I just don't feel the need to deep clean right now, especially because I've done a pretty good job at staying on track with my Sunday resets and with tidying up a little bit every week. So I'm just going to tidy up a little bit before my Spanish lesson, and then this afternoon I'm gonna head out to a cafe to get a bit of work done. For now, I'm gonna do a quick tidy, and then we'll probably make myself a matcha before my Spanish lesson. I just finished my very first Spanish lesson and it was honestly lots of fun. I'm excited to book some more classes, and I was also just browsing on Lingoda and they really have so many resources for you. They have different practice questions. You can review your vocabulary also directly on there, which I think is really neat. And I'm especially, I think, going to book some grammar classes going forward, because I feel like grammar is one of the things that I just struggle the most with when it comes to language learning, especially as someone whose first language is French. I know how confusing French grammar can be, and it's just a matter of getting to know it and kind of learning the rules and getting used to them. I saw that they also have a class in this unit about hobbies, which would be very fitting given the fact that I am trying to expand my hobbies. For the rest of today, as I mentioned, I'm gonna go get some work done at a coffee shop, and I think it'll be nice to just get out of the house and we're just gonna have a fun little solo afternoon, you and I.